Hi everyone, my name is Cyan. Today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about a project that I'm thinking about doing, a project that I'm maybe hoping to help somebody else with. I don't really know. With the announcement of community servers coming to Overwatch, I'm really excited because one of the game modes that I love to play in Team Fortress 2 was a game mode called All Crits. The possibility of porting that game mode into Overwatch is really exciting to me, and I want to talk a little bit about the way that all crit mode works in Team Fortress 2 and how it can possibly be transported to Overwatch and how it can work in Overwatch. I'm going to do this across a couple of videos, I think. In this video in particular, I'm going to talk about Team Fortress 2, the mechanics of Team Fortress 2 in pertaining to all crits mode, and my personal experience. I'm going to just lay the foundation for my knowledge and how I think we can progress forward in Overwatch. First things first, let's establish what critical hits are in Team Fortress 2, what crits are. A critical hit, a crit in Team Fortress 2, is a random percentage chance that any shot you fire from your weapon will have the base damage multiplied by 3. There are some weapons that don't have crits. They're not available for those weapons because of restrictions and balance for those weapons in particular. But generally speaking, most weapons you can have a random chance to have a crit shot and cause ×3 damage to your target if you hit them. This means that a weapon like the soldier's rocket launcher, which has 90 base damage, ramps all the way up to 270 base damage. That's basically enough to kill every character in the game if you hit them directly, aside from Heavy. That was one character. There's only one character that will survive from full health. If you have a server where every shot you fire is a critical hit in Team Fortress 2, it creates a very fast, very different game style than the base game of Team Fortress. The way that it's played can be very different. The way that the classes interact with one another and the way that the classes are played themselves can be very different. It has its own metagame. And when I was playing Team Fortress 2 a number of years ago, I really was taken by this game mode. I used to play on a server that was ranked. I could see my own progression through the ranking. I had a goal that I wanted to strive for. It just really grabbed me, and the game mode itself was very interesting. It's really satisfying to kill like 3 people with one shot. It's really satisfying to get dominations left, right, and center. That's one of the things that happens in all crits mode. Dominations and being dominated happens all the time just because of the way the game mode can work in large groups. And the maps that I played on this server in all crits mode were all orange variant maps for the most part, which is a very engaging kind of map in my opinion. It's got some interesting balance things. It's very stripped down, but when you have different variations of the map, it can be very elaborate at the same time. So let's jump into Team Fortress 2. I'm going to load up a map that we used to play on a lot, Orange X3, and talk a bit about the way all crits mode works pertaining to some of the classes, and kind of talk about my knowledge of all crits mode, and we'll use that knowledge to lay the basis for all critical Overwatch. I've loaded into a private server. The map is CP Orange X3. This is the basis for all of the maps that I played on all crits. The server that I really liked had all orange variant maps. And here I can talk about some of the map and some of the basic ideas that you wanted to keep in mind when you were playing all crits on an orange map. This particular map is not representative of all of the orange variants. There were lots of different things that happened. Some of them have tunnels, some of them have more towers, some of them are very small, some of them are enormous. But I just want to give a general sense of some of the mechanics that you have to keep in mind for all crits mode in Team Fortress 2. I was going to talk about the characters and the different loadouts that you can have for all crits mode with the different characters, but I don't think I'll do that in this video. If people want me to do that to provide more depth and to just share the knowledge, then that's cool. I will be willing to do that, but not for this video. So I'm just going to load in with Soldier. Soldier was my favorite character. One of the things to keep in mind with Team Fortress as opposed to Overwatch is that you have limited ammunition when you load in with a character. Beyond just reloading, there's a limited pool of ammo that you have before you need to pick up more, or you're just out. Secondary weapons are also a thing, and tertiary melee weapons. So across these different weapons, there are lots of different decisions that you can make. Do you want to hit someone with your secondary weapon? Do you want to melee them with your melee weapon? Do you want to, weapon main one, mouse one them? there are lots of different aspects to each weapon too, when they're all like have different balance and have different features. So when I'm talking about the different spam patterns that you can have, keep that in mind. Orange has a really long spawn position, really deep, wide spawn room, so spamming through these doors, although it might look easy just on glance, it's not actually that easy to hit everybody as they spawn. You can't get back in here once you're out, unless you rocket jump back, or if you're scout you can double jump back, I believe. I think that's the case. I can't quite remember, honestly. Coming out through here in the opening of the game, you don't really need to worry too much about walking up here. Nobody's set up down yonder in the enemy square yet. You always want to make sure somebody caps this point, because you wouldn't believe how often people forget. Later in the game, when the enemy team has set up, there are going to be snipers down there, which would be here on your team side. This is a great spot for snipers to set up, and in all crits mode, every single sniper shot is basically just a kill. When the damage is so high, snipers have a field day. It's a great way for people to get like top of team. It's a great way for people to rack up points and everything like that. So lots and lots of people like to load in a sniper, plant themselves somewhere, and just point and click all over. It doesn't require quite so much skill as it would in the regular mode too, so it's kind of a good way to learn sniper. And it's not just sniper. Spy functions as sniper with the revolver in this game mode a lot of the time. Heavy even can be a rapid fire sniper because of the way the damage works. And even scout and soldiers with shotguns, pyros with shotguns, engineers with shotguns. I mean, it's very easy to cause lots of damage from long range. So later in the game, when the first points have been capped, when you come out from spawn, you want to be careful to corner check everything. You want to be careful to maybe launch a rocket beyond corners, because lots of times there will be an enemy waiting here for you to come out, maybe a spy or something. And you also want to keep as close as possible to the wall here so that you can use these corners as cover against enemy snipers. It is still hard to do, as you can see. Like, no matter how close you stay to this corner, for a bit you will be exposed to that window right there. So talking about spam again, spam is a naturally mindless word. It doesn't sound like an intense decision-making or learned process, but you do need to learn how to spam. You spam through these windows. You hope to get anyone coming out. You spam through the doorways. You walk up if you don't see anyone in these windows. When you're on the first control point, or the second control point, CP2, for your team, and you're capping it, you can also spam the ramp on the enemy side, walking up to the second floor of the tower. Like I said, spamming isn't a word that implies lots of like knowledge and decision making, but you do have limited ammo resources, and you do need to know where to spam. With the unlimited ammo resources, I worry that like Farah and Junkrat will just shoot all over the place, and it won't feel good. It's not going to feel right. That's something that I really want to keep in mind with when talking about Overwatch. Taking this point, taking the middle point, you always want to walk up your team side ramp. I always played blue side. I don't know why. I just like blue more than red, so I just always played blue. Coming in through here, you want to keep an eye out this door. You want to make sure that there's nobody going to come in right after you, and if there is, as you walk up this ramp, you just want to spam some rockets down. Maybe walk up a little bit and then come back down so you drop, and just spam a rocket. The benefit of coming back down is you drop. I mean, obviously it's just a little bit faster. You're not showing your feet as you walk back down. The reason why you want to come up on the blue side ramp, or the team side ramp rather than the enemy team side ramp, it's super easy to come in through these doors and just go in kind of a straight line. Just go up this ramp, right? It's very easy. But when you reach this point, you look out, and you're directly in the window for a headshot for any of the snipers that are set up here, even down here. Sometimes they work their way up to the top with random items and happenings. You never ever want to just be headshot as you're walking up through, and it happens a lot when you walk up just in a straight line and take that ramp. Coming up through the top here is pretty difficult sometimes. You want to look for shadows. You want to hear footsteps if you're not like listening to techno music and cranking your metal super loud. But you want to try and pay attention and just spam a rocket and come up the opposite side if you think there is somebody up here. Just make them think that you're going to come up the side that you're not, and then take a big look. If there's somebody already capping the point, coming up through here, you want to put your rocket on the control point itself. You want to put the AoE on the control point itself, because as long as they're capping, they're going to take some damage, generally speaking. When you're actually capping the point, capping this point is the most difficult thing that I've ever done in a video game. I'm way worse now than I was when I was playing like all the time. You need to check every single access point constantly, and you also need to pay attention to the sky on the team side, the enemy team side. The way you deal with somebody capping is, you poke out, you peek up, and you try and AoE them as soldier. At least that's how you deal with them as soldier and demo. Or you can rocket jump up. I didn't rocket jump as a purpose, as a pointed thing. I felt like the health benefits, the more health that you had was the better thing as soldier. When you rocket jump, you don't take crit damage, obviously, because you would just die, but it really hurts you in the long run, I felt. I mean, if you're standing on here with 200 health, you're doing pretty good. You can eat an AoE from somebody else's all crit and then hopefully kill them and continue to stand on this point. If you're at, like if I just rocket jumped up here and I was at 87 health right now, it would be much harder for me to survive. And no matter how good your reflexes are, there's a chance that someone's going to have better reflexes than you. Somebody's going to have better latency than you are. Demos coming up through here can bounce shots off the walls, aim their nades, get their nades to the center of the point. Same thing, if you have a demo that comes up along the right side, they can crouch, bounce it off that point right there. It's going to end up somewhere along there. Same thing for this side. I mean, there's lots of different things that you need to keep in mind. So the best thing to do is to have your rocket launcher out as soldier when you're playing soldier. And even like any class, as you're capping this point, move around a lot, jump around a lot. The reason why you want to jump and bunny hop as much as possible is because if somebody lands a rocket right there and you're standing on the ground, you're eating like X amount of the AoE damage. If you're jumping, you're just that little bit farther away from where that shot landed, so you have a little bit less damage being applied to you. It's really hard to do. You gotta do your quick looks like mad. You gotta also keep track of which side is the enemy side. Using the roof of the building is really handy, and sometimes you get to see the walls down there. But it's super hard to do. It's super difficult to do in one life. It's the hardest thing that I've ever done in a video game, I think. And I play StarCraft, so it's freaking hard. And the reason why it's hard is because you die in one shot so many times. All crit. One shot, one kill. It's not nearly as hard to do when you have like the regular team mode. Playing this map as a regular Team Fortress mode, it's not particularly engaging. It's not as difficult. To me, at least, in my opinion. But anyways, so you cap this point, you want to come down, you want to get this. You can go two ways. You can come down through the ramps here. Once again, you want to come down in such a way that you're not just walking down the ramp. Your feet are going to show up first. Your feet are showing like at this point, and you can't see anything on this side of the room, which is just where the enemies are going to come up, which makes you an easy target to just be killed. You want to walk down, you want to drop down on the ramp. Being careful again for those windows. The way that I always used to do it, the way that I always preferred to do it, is I like to come down here, spam some rockets down here if there were snipers, or if there weren't, spam some over here. You can even get just above and beyond where people might come out from the enemy spawn. Hopefully get a kill like that. This platform provides natural cover from the enemy spawn point. When you're walking across, they can't see you, you can't see them. Makes you less of a target. If you're coming through that door, you don't really have access to that. It takes longer for them to see you because obviously it's just the way that the corners work, the way the angle is, but it puts you in a bit of a rougher position when you're walking along here. It makes you an easier target. Coming from this point over to cap the point, I always like to have my shotgun out here. The shotgun isn't literally hit scan. There's like spread on the bullets and such, but if you see someone coming and you have them in your reticule, generally you're going to hit them with at least like one bullet, causing 18 damage in all crits mode, which isn't a ton, but you know, it's significant. At this point, you want to take your, I mean, assuming everybody's dead, assuming there's nobody coming towards you right now, take out your rocket launcher again, spam down. You can try and get them as they come around this corner, which is very frequently. There's a long refractory period between firing shots with the rocket launcher, so you're never gonna be perfect, and especially when there's people coming not directly beyond that corner, when they're giving some space, there is room to dodge. The rockets don't travel super fast, so you want your team to come up and have a presence around here, and just make sure that they don't walk by and just kill you. Lots of people like to set up in that corner, which is why, again, when you're coming out around here, if there's somebody capping your point, you want to jump, land a rocket right there, get them cleared out. Capping this last point is really difficult for different reasons than the center point, because the enemy spawn is right here. Like I said earlier, it's a big spawn room. There's lots of space, so spawn killing isn't the purest answer, but you do launch your nades in there as Demo Man, you launch your stickies in there as Demo Man, you launch your rockets in there as Soldier, etc., so on and so forth. It's just kind of a fact of life in this particular map, but there are other orange variant maps that don't have spawn rooms that are set up to enable spawn killing. It's not a huge deal. It sounds like a really bad thing, but it's not as huge a deal as you think. So that's like the baseline overview of the way a map works, the way the most simplistic map works in all crits mode in Team Fortress 2. Some of the properties that I want to keep in mind when we port these thoughts over to Overwatch is the idea of thought-provoking, thought process-based spam for AoE attacks, expansive maps that can allow lots of different kinds of gameplay, be it capping on top of this building in the center and having very frequent, frantic, reactionary gameplay, or kind of more mechanical, knowledge-based gameplay in the wide open areas where you look, you spam, you know where you're going, you know the different properties of the map, and you know how it pertains to the game. This is a pretty brief overview of some of the things that are relevant for all crits mode in Team Fortress 2. Obviously, it's not just all crits mode, it's Team Fortress 2 in general. There are so many different maps, there are so many different characters, there are so many different weapons in Team Fortress 2 that can change everything. But this is the foundation of knowledge that I'd like to transport from Team Fortress to Overwatch when the community servers come out. It's super cool that they're releasing community servers. I'm really happy about that. It's awesome that I have a chance to try and stimulate some interest in this kind of game mode in the Overwatch community if possible. If you're somebody who's interested in this, if you're somebody who is thinking about working on this, if you're somebody who played all crits mode in Team Fortress 2 and you'd like to contribute, I highly encourage that. I think the best way for that to happen is to join my Discord channel that I will link down below. Most of that channel is centered around my esports journalism work, but there is a channel for Overwatch, and you're more than welcome to join in and spark some discussion, give your thoughts. If you'd like to leave a comment in the YouTube section down below, that would be perfect. If you'd like to tweet at me, that would be perfect. I even have a business email on my Twitter profile, and if you want to email me there talking about this, that's fine too. I'm going to have another part to this video series as soon as I possibly can. These are a little bit long to make, but I'll have some stuff out as soon as possible talking about Overwatch characters and Overwatch maps and some of the barriers that need to be overcome, some of the hurdles that you need to leap when we talk about buffing damage in Overwatch. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope this is a topic and an idea that some of you find interesting and can get behind. If not, don't worry. More esports content coming as soon as possible. Look out tomorrow, Thursday, February 16th, for a new episode of Please Pause StarCraft 2. Much love. Goodbye.